This is the Louie T Network.
And then my team went 6-10, and we ain't smell the playoffs. Then it gets even better when your team makes the playoffs.
Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the 2018 NFL playoffs here on the Louie T Network. Wall-to-wall coverage of each and every single game here on the Louie T Network, breaking down the 2018 NFL playoffs like no one else can. And wow, did we just have a stunner for the second week in a row in the postseason. The first game was an upset, and this was one that I think supersedes the one from last week, because last week was a 4 and a 5 seed. And, you know, that game could have went any direction. Most people thought the Chiefs were going to win, but they fell apart in the second half. I knew this game could be close, but I didn't think there was a chance in hell that the Eagles were going to win. I knew it was going to be a low-scoring affair because, one, the Falcons don't score points, and two, the Eagles are pretty good defensively. So I knew this was going to turn out to be a low-scoring game. I thought the Falcons would come out on the right side of things, but as I told Falcons fans last week, don't do that. Do not dismiss these Eagles as if they don't exist. But I didn't think they were going to win this game either. I'm not going to sit here on my high horse, on my soapbox, and act as if I thought the Eagles had a shot in hell of winning this football game. They come out victorious, 15-10, move on to the NFC Championship game. Well, they'll host the winner of Vikings and Saints. So all of a sudden now, what looked like a shoo-in for the Vikings to be able to stay at home if they were able to get past the Saints, now they're going to have to travel on the road if they're able to beat the New Orleans Saints on Sunday. That should be a hell of a football game. But this was a hell of a football game. Very sloppy in the first round. But before I even jump into any of the breakdown, I got to say to Eagles fans, celebrate! Your team found a way to get it done when nobody else thought they could. And I brought those chips back with me. Remember this chip here? This was the disrespect chip. This is the chip that I gave you because I was serving up nothing but utter disrespect. Me and everybody else, but I'm not here to include everybody else. I can't speak for anyone else but myself. I disrespected this Eagles team led by Nicholas Foles. So I handed you this disrespect chip, and then I turned around and I doubled down on the chips, and I handed you an underdog chip. And I said everybody else is going to give you Vegas, and everybody else is going to give you the underdog chip. I'm going to serve up this here disrespect chip. Here are your chips. Play them when you will. Do with them what you must. But by the time you play these chips, you would have already lost this game. I was wrong. You pushed all your chips to the center of the table. And when it was all said and done, everything was yours in this game. Huge stop at the end to preserve the victory. Nicholas Foles was outstanding. The defense was the true story of this game, however, which we knew they were going to come to play. We didn't, however, know how Nicholas Foles was going to play. We're going to talk about his performance, the defense's performance, and how the Eagles were able to come away with a 15-10 victory, which sends them on the way to the NFC Championship game, where they will again be handed another disrespect chip, as they'll probably be underdogs, which will hand them the other chip in the NFC Championship game, especially if that opponent is the Minnesota Vikings. We will see what happens. But forget about that. Forget about next week's game. No one wants to talk about that. We want to talk about how the Eagles, yes, the Nicholas Foles-led Philadelphia Eagles, found a way to win this game. Let's start with the Eagles and their offense in this game. And it was a rough start for the Eagles offensively. They start the game off with the pass interference on a moon ball. Both quarterbacks threw some gruesome moon balls into the howling winds at the link in this game. The first play of the game, the Eagles looked to be aggressive. Nicholas Foles going up top, looked to have a receiver open, underthrew the football severely. The wind beat it up and knocked it down. And the cornerback, Byron Poole, ran into the receiver, and boom, just like that, you've got a pass interference in great field position. You're at least coming away with a field goal here, and Jay Ajayi puts the football on the carpet. A very sloppy first half by the Eagles. We'll elaborate on that more when we get to the Atlanta Falcons. But nonetheless, sloppy first half by this Eagles offense, as they had a number of mistakes that should have seen them down by more than just a single point at the half. Nonetheless, they were able to make some plays. I thought their run game was outstanding. And I told you, if you're going to beat this this Falcons team up on defense, you're going to have to do it on the ground, because this is a team that is really good against the pass, which they were good for stretches of this game, but they gave up some yards. They give up a ton of points, which is what this league is about. You can bend but don't break, which is what the Falcons essentially did defensively. But they gave up a ton of yards. They didn't give the football to their offense enough, especially in the second half of this game. But again, this Eagles offense was able to move the football a lot through the ground with some chunk plays, especially in the first half. Nelson Aguilar with a big run. Ajayi, Sands for the fumbles. He was outstanding in the first half. 8 carries, 50 yards at the halftime break. They were having success on the ground. Remember, I talked about Todd Gurley and the success that he had on the ground last week, which is why the Rams, I thought, really missed an opportunity to take advantage of the Falcons on the ground, because he had over 100 yards rushing in that game, and about 3 or 4 chunk runs that allowed him to average over 7 a pop with 14 carries for a buck. And some change in that game. They should have given him the ball more in that game, and they didn't, and it cost them. And so here was an opportunity for the Eagles to do what the Rams didn't do a week ago. And you heard at halftime their head coach, Doug Peterson, say, look, we're going to get back to the run game with Jay Ajayi. We're going to run it more. Look to see him be more of a factor in the second half along with Blunt and company, because we got to run the football and stay aggressive that way, and that will open up things for Nicholas Foles in the passing game if we can run the football with any kind of success. They continued to use the jet sweeps with Nelson Aguilar and get him involved, and I thought that was beautiful in the game plan as well, to give another wrinkle for the defense, because it's a fast-flowing, aggressive Falcons defense. If you can get them going in the wrong direction, get out of some of their gaps and their fits, you can make some big plays in the run game. And so I love when teams, even when they're not handing it off, ghost action on these jet sweeps to just give the defense one more thing to think about and maybe freeze them for a millisecond, which will give your blockers maybe a chance to get to the second level and create a big play in the run game. And the Eagles, I thought, did a great job of doing that throughout the course of this game. Also, I thought the Eagles were very disciplined. Not a ton of penalties offensively. They didn't hurt themselves. This is a well-officiated game. Both teams not really heavily penalized in this game, and that's what you want to see. You want to take the game out of the officials' hands, even though the officials had a couple of huge calls down the stretch on some catches, but I didn't think they got either one of them wrong. I thought they could have allowed the Sanu catch to stay, but nonetheless, the ball did hit the ground. I didn't have a problem with them overturning that play, but you get to the second half of this game, and that's when Nicholas Foles kind of took over. Even though you heard Doug Peterson say, we're going to run it, we're going to run it, Nicholas Foles was killing them, especially in some thirds and long situations. The Falcons had the Eagles right where they wanted them in some 3rd and 7s and 8s and 9s in the second half. And Nicholas Foles, I tell you what, the Eagles ran the same route over and over again. They ran a ton of RPOs. They ran a ton of slants. How many slants of the, let's call it 30 completions Nicholas Foles had in this game? How many of them were slants? At least 10, if not 12 to 15 of them were simply slants, whether it was Ertz on a huge 3rd down on that last drive that resulted in a field goal to stretch the lead out to 5 at 15 to 10 on a crucial 3rd down, or it was Alshon Jeffery. Never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. He caught a ton of slants in this game right in front of the Atlanta Falcons corners, mainly Desmond Trufant. Ton of slants given up in this game. There was one outbreaking route on the 3rd down that Jeffrey caught where you had Alford complaining about push-off. I didn't think it was a push-off. I thought it was a good no call by the official. You initiated contact, and then when he decides to get you off of him and you fall down, you want to blame him. I'm not buying that at all. So I thought the Eagles had some opportunities. Nicholas Foles missed a wide-open tight end, Burton, in the first half. Bless you. Thank you. He missed a wide open Burton in the first half and had opportunities to make some plays, and he wasn't sharp in the first half, but he came back. He was sharp in the second half. He converted on 3rd downs and gave them opportunities to move the football and score points, albeit just 6 points, a field goal in each quarter in the second half. It was enough. The end of the first half was a wacky finish. And I knew at that point the Falcons were going to lose this game. The Eagles had no business, and that was a hell of a throw and the catch and out of bounds by Alshon Jeffery at the end of the half to set up your field goal kicker with a chance to drill a 53-yard field goal and really make amends for missing that extra point earlier in the game, which could have cost this team down the stretch had it come to that. But he was able to make amends with Jake Elliott by drilling a 53-yarder. And I thought that gave the Eagles a ton of momentum heading into halftime with all the mistakes, with all the missed opportunities, with all of the follies that the Eagles had in the first half. They were only trailing 10-9 after it was all said and done. And so big field goal there, big completion by Foles. And I thought that completion heading into halftime is what really sparked Nicholas Foles and really got him going into the right direction. And when he came out in the second half, he was a different guy at the quarterback position. He really played well, in my estimation, made some throws, put guys in positions to make plays, made quick decisions with the football, checked it down when it needed to be checked down, and gave guys an opportunity. They ran a ton of screens in the second half that were very successful. I thought it was a really good job of putting Nicholas Foles in positions to succeed. I thought the Falcons would do more to make him uncomfortable. They really didn't. They really didn't harass him in this game. I didn't think they blitzed enough. I didn't think they made him uncomfortable. He got comfortable in the second half, and by doing that, he started to complete passes. All of a sudden, the momentum swung in the favor of the Eagles, and the Falcons simply were never able to wrestle it back away. And so I thought that Jay Ajayi, despite the fumbles in this game, he was good for the Eagles. Catching the football, had a nice catch and run in the third quarter or early stages of the fourth that led to a field goal. Nicholas Foles was outstanding in this game. Alshon Jeffery, I thought, showed up in this game huge. Torrey Smith with that big catch on the carom right before the half. Everybody contributed. Nelson Aguilar with some big runs, getting handoffs out of the backfield. Everybody contributed. Zach Ertz. This was a total team effort, and it was going to take exactly that, and it's going to take the same thing next week if you are to advance to the Super Bowl, because Nicholas Foles can't do it by himself. He's not good enough. It's going to take another total team effort on the offensive side of the football and another whale of a defensive gem if you're going to win next week. Speaking of which, this defense was just outstanding, and it was going to take this kind of effort defensively for this team to advance in this football game. I talked about Fletcher Cox and what Aaron Donald did last week and how Cox was going to have to do the same thing. Well, he did the same exact thing. And the same two offensive linemen, and of course, this is a copycat league, and the Eagles, yes, they do watch film. They saw the same two offensive linemen struggle a week ago versus Aaron Donald in backup guard Ben Garland and right tackle Ryan Schrader, and they went after both of those guys mercilessly. And Fletcher Cox dominated both of those guys in this game, whether it was in the run game or getting after Matt Ryan, making him uncomfortable and flushing him out of the pocket, even sacking him once in the first half and forcing a punt. Fletcher Cox was outstanding. I thought the secondary of the Eagles, who I didn't think was I still don't think they're very good, but I thought they performed their asses off in this game. Darby made a difference. I thought he played Julio Jones well. Julio Jones still went over 100 yards, but he's Julio Jones. Julio! Still Julio Jones. So, but when the plays needed to be made late in the game, you had Jalen Mills on the fourth down, step up, make a play there, even though Julio Jones, again, slipped on that play. Doesn't matter. Jalen Mills still was able to be in the hip pocket, make a play. I thought the defense made enough plays. Even when the Falcons were moving the football, they forced the Falcons to have to settle for field goals, which has been an Achilles heel of this Falcons football team all season long. But they made plays to put the Falcons in some tough spots, whether it be the Falcons driving the football, get past midfield, a sack, or Falcons incompletion, and all of a sudden they got to punt the football. How many Falcon drives stalled out right around midfield? I mean, this Eagles defense, give them credit. They stepped up and made plays in some crucial situations. They forced the football out on some situations where the Falcons had some contested catches. The Falcons tried to get Taylor Gabriel involved. Remember, he missed the last few games with a hamstring. They tried to get him involved in the screen game. Darby wasn't having it with a great tackle there. They tried to get Taylor Gabriel over the top. The Eagles did a great job of staying at home. The only issue with this defense in this particular game was run defense. I thought Tevin Coleman had an extraordinary game on the ground, and had he had more touches, I thought he could have went over 100 yards rushing. Other than him, though, and Julio Jones, for the most part, this Eagles defense neutralized the rest of the targets out on the football field, and they got after Matt Ryan. They made him uncomfortable in this game. They didn't sack him a ton. They did sack him 3 times in this game, but the thing that they did do was they got him off the spot. Matt Ryan was running from it for his life a ton in this game, whether he was scrambling, looking to throw, keeping his eyes down the field, or trying to outrun a pursuing rusher. He was on the move the vast majority of this game. Credit to that Eagles front, which I told you was going to have to dominate this game. Michael Kendricks almost had a pick on a beautiful play where he faked going out on the route to the flat on the running back and came back in and almost picked off a pass intended for Julio Jones on a simple hitch or a stop route, on a curl where he just kind of hooked up. And this defense was just flying around in this game. And when they had to make plays, they found ways to make plays, whether it was sacking Matt Ryan, forcing Matt Ryan to throw it away, flushing him out of the pocket, or coming away with a third down stop against one of the best third down offenses in all of the National Football League. The Eagles were extraordinary for the most part in this game on third downs and on a crucial 4th down as well, one that ended up clinching the game for them. So the Eagles defensively did what they had to do despite the mistakes, the turnovers, all of the things that went against them, especially in the first half of this game. The defense rose to the occasion and kept this team in the game when the offense and special teams were trying to give this game away. The defense stepped up until the offense got their act together and was able to start putting together some methodical drives, eating up clock, shortening the game, and which is what the Eagles did last year when they beat this Falcons team in a similar type game. They shortened the game by eating up possessions with the clock in the run game and completions and moving the sticks. Look, they didn't score a ton of points, but especially in the second half, the Eagles ate up time of possession with some lengthy drives that resulted in field goals, which put the pressure and onus on the Atlanta Falcons in this game. So credit both the offense of the Eagles and defense. This was a team win, collective effort. No one except Eagles fans saw this one coming. This is a hell of a win. Now, I don't know how far this is going to take you, and I don't know what this actually means for the future, but I can tell you this. In the moment, this was one of the most improbable wins. And again, I know as fans, we can sometimes be prisoners of the moment, and everything is sensationalized and everything is the biggest and the greatest and the best and this, that, and the third. But I can't think of a win, a more improbable win. Not to say that the Falcons were juggernauts and the Falcons were putting up 40 points like they were last year and somehow this Eagles defense was able to contain them and hold them to 10. No, the Falcons haven't been scoring points all year, so I knew this was a distinct possibility that they could struggle to score against a good Eagles defense. What I didn't account for was this Eagles offense scoring 15, this Eagles defense holding the Falcons to just 10. I thought there was no way that this Eagles defense was going to hold this Falcons offense to less than 20. I thought maybe if they held them to 19 or 17, they'd have a chance, but I still thought that the Falcons could get to 17, 18, 19 in this game somehow, and that would be enough because I didn't expect the Eagles, and it would have been enough because the Eagles didn't score a ton, which I didn't expect them to do, and they didn't. But the defense is what really surprised me because I knew they needed to play a hell of a game. But with all the mistakes made by the Eagles in the first half of this game, for them to only give up 10 points speaks volumes to the level that this defense rose to the occasion and played at to give themselves a chance in the second half and ultimately win this game 15-10. This is a major upset. Again, I thought the Falcons could go to the Super Bowl. I was convinced that they had learned their lesson from last year and they were going to find a way to win. Even when they were moving the football down the field on that final drive, I thought they were going to get in. And this Eagles defense denied them with the biggest stop of their season to preserve the 15-10 victory. You go to the Atlanta Falcons side of things, and this is as dejected a Falcons team and a loss as you can imagine. Nothing trumps this except the Super Bowl, obviously, for obvious reasons. But this one stings because I know of so many Falcons fans that were counting their eggs before they hatched. I wish I would have known that stat that when bird teams face off against one another, the home team is now 10-0. They were previously 9-0 before this game. They're now 10-0 as they showed that stat I think it was either 6 or 9, one of those numbers. Either way, the home team is undefeated in the games where two bird teams match up in the playoffs, which is crazy. If I would have known that, maybe I wouldn't have been so gung-ho on the Falcons. That wouldn't have changed my mind. I'm bullshitting you. Here, let's get to why the Falcons didn't win this game. You needed to be up by more than a point at halftime. And to me, there's one play in this game. I feel like the same thing in the Chiefs game last week. Now, there was pressure on him, and he airmailed. It right to Keanu Neal. And what the hell does Keanu Neal do? And I told you this when I broke him down in my Draft Prospects 101 series. He's not great at catching the football. Okay, that's not one of his strong suits. He's physical. He's a hitter. He does have good ball tracking skills, and he's always around the ball, but he doesn't have great hands. And you saw it there. Why the hell are you jumping in the air, kicking your feet? What the hell are you doing? Catch the damn ball. You're doing all of this extra. Because you know why? He doesn't trust his damn hands. So he's trying to jump, catch it with his stomach, and instead, like some damn Three Stooges, dumbass, folly nonsense, he kicks the ball 10 yards into the air right to Torrey Smith, who catches it, picks up an additional 8 yards. Now the Eagles are right around midfield with a timeout that they spend their last on, and boom, they get a completion with a second left. They get a field goal, what should have been a pick. And I don't think he was going to take it to the crib, but he would have took it deep into Eagles territory. At least you're coming away. At worst, you're coming away with automatic Bryant coming up there. You're at least coming away with 3. Most likely, you would have had a shot with a couple of timeouts in your back pocket for a touchdown. You would have had some shots at the end zone if he didn't take it all the way himself. There was nothing but space and opportunity in front of him. And what does he do? He kicks the damn ball in the air. That was the game, because what that did was it swung momentum. You go from up 10-6 to up 10-9 with the Eagles getting points they had no business getting and them having momentum. Nicholas Foles makes a big throw to head into the halftime break to lead to that field goal. He comes out, picks right up where he left off. And from that point on, you lost every ounce of momentum that you spent 30 minutes building. You threw it away literally in a 30-second span. You threw away 29 minutes and 30 seconds worth of work. You threw it away in 30 seconds by not catching an interception that was gift wrapped for you and then allowing them to get a completion and out of bounds, setting up a 53-yard Jake Elliott field goal that cut the deficit to 1 at 10-9 at halftime. Again, the defense played their brains out in this game. I thought they gave up too many completions underneath on slants, too many easy completions on screens and underneath throws that got too many yards. For as good as a tackling team as they were throughout the course of this season, it was last week, and everybody was lauding and praising them, they did not tackle well in this game, did the Atlanta Falcons defensively, but that's not why you lost this game. You had opportunities. The Eagles put the ball on the carpet 4 times in the game. You are not supposed to lose when a team fumbles 4 times in the first half and you recover 2 of them. You should have been up by more than a point at halftime. You should have been up. And then they had some big penalties, did the Eagles, in the first half of this game. Some back-breaking fumbles and mistakes. Nicholas Foles misses a wide-open Burton on a corner route that should have got you for about 25 or more, which would have put them in a scoring position, but instead they had to punt. Nicholas Foles throws the football right to you, and you kick it in the air and give it right back to him and end up giving up points before the half. Everything that could have went wrong for the Eagles in the first half, and they looked up and they were only trailing by 1. That's when I knew the Atlanta Falcons were in a dogfight, in trouble, and possibly could lose this football game, because you don't do things like the Falcons did in the game, especially in the first half. I hated the wasted timeout in the second half. Let the Eagles do the dumb shit. We'll get to that here in a second. Let the Eagles do the dumb shit. Their coach is an idiot when it comes to timeouts and decision making. He almost made a stupid ass decision to go for it, 4th and 2 from about let's call it the 4-yard line. He almost made a boneheaded decision. You have to kick the field goal there to go up 5. You can't go for it there. And he wasted a timeout in not being able to make up his stupid ass mind and almost cost his team down the stretch because they needed that extra timeout for the clock. He's lucky that the Falcons didn't score a touchdown late, because if they did and he didn't have that timeout, I'd have been cussing his ass out and reaming him right now, but he got away with it. You, on the other hand, didn't get away with using a stupid ass timeout in the second half. I've already said this enough times. Using timeouts in the second half is the stupidest thing you can do as a coach unless it is absolutely necessary. And when I say absolutely necessary, I'm talking about avoiding a delay of game on a 3rd and 2 or something of that magnitude in the game. You do not waste second half timeouts. They're like precious jewels. You only get 3, and you don't know what the situation is going to be, especially in a close, tight ball game like this. The Falcons could have gotten the football back after that failed 4th down conversion. If they'd had all 3 of their timeouts instead of just 2, they could have gotten the football back. But instead, with just 2 timeouts, even if the Eagles didn't pick up the 1st down, they would have run that clock down to essentially nothing. And this game probably would have been over just about after the Eagles were able to punt the football away. But they didn't have to do any of that stuff because the Falcons simply didn't do enough, and they had a chance. Forget about the second half. The second half, I thought that the Falcons defensively, they bent, but they didn't break. They gave up too many yards. You had the Eagles pent at the 6-yard line, and you give up about 5 slants and I think a screen to Ajayi, and they end up getting a field goal out of that possession. You can't do that in a game where field position is everything. You can't do that. You can't give up. And there were about 4 crucial 3rd downs, like 2 to Jeffery, 1 on the one Alford thought he pushed off on the out route. There was another one to Jeffery on a slant right in front of Trufant. There was another one to Ertz where Brian Poole falls down. They were killing you on the in-breaking routes, on the slants. You gave up too many 3rd and longs in this game. If there's one area that I think you were absolutely gutted in this game, it was 3rd downs in the second half that allowed the Eagles to shorten this game. That was the only way they were going to win. Shorter game, less possessions means they were going to have a shot to win, and you allowed them to do that by picking up 1st down after 1st down on these 3rd down and long conversions. They hurt you there, and they were able to run the football effectively, which is what the Rams did a week ago. And so that's not surprising to me. Really disappointing, actually, by this Falcons defense not being able to apply more pressure on Foles, 1. 2, not being able to stop the run a little bit more effectively. And 3, giving up 3rd and longs. You put yourself in some really advantageous situations on 3rd downs in this game, and you weren't able to take advantage of them because you gave up too many yards to receivers. I thought you played too soft, too far off, and gave them everything they wanted. And it's Nicholas Foles. He wants easy completions, and you gave it to him tonight, and he took advantage. Excuse me, he took advantage of them. And for all of that, I said all of that, you only gave up 15. 15 is supposed to be enough to win. And that's the shame in all of this. But you did it, because if Keanu O'Neal catches that pick, you win this game. No doubt about it. No doubt in my mind. The Eagles were on the ropes. And like Rocky, you let those boys bounce up off the canvas and knock you the hell out because you decided to kick the damn football in the air and give up a field goal. Instead of you getting a field goal, possibly a touchdown before halftime, you give up a field goal and allow the lead to just be 1 at 10-9 at halftime. And to me, that was an absolute backbreaker. Offensively, this is what the Falcons have been all season long, especially of late. So this wasn't a surprise that they weren't able to muster a ton of offense and score a bunch of points. I wasn't expecting them to. I told you I thought they would score 1 touchdown, which they did, and I said 5 field goals. And they drove the football to midfield at least 4 or 5 times in this game, and they simply couldn't sustain drives. And credit the Eagles' defense. The Eagles would get them, whether it was a sack or some kind of I'll give you an example. Eagles, they kick the football out of bounds after they take the lead 10-6. They take the lead 6-3. Their kicker kicks it out of bounds like a goofball, like a doofus. And you get it at the 40, okay? You get it at the 40-yard line. And the first play, they send a blitz off the corner, and McLeod sacks you. And just like that, your drive is busted up. Great field position at the 40, drive is busted up. 2nd and 20. You end up dumping it down on 3rd and 20, getting 14, but you're still having to punt the football right around midfield. That was the case all game long. You would get to right around midfield, but you weren't able to convert once you got to the midfield stripe, and you found yourself punting the football to the Eagles. And it was a windy night, so those Bosher punts weren't going as far, and they were getting knocked down by the wind. And instead of you pinning them inside their own 5 and at their own 7-yard line or at the 11, a lot of their catches were at the 20, at the 25, at the 21, at the 19. And so it wasn't as bad a field position as it could have been, but the offense moved the football. You just didn't do enough in this game. Matt Ryan, I thought, played his guts out. You know, I thought he made some plays. The touchdown pass to Devonta Freeman, I mean, goddamn. I mean, what more you want him to do on that play? I did not love the play at the end, the 4th and 1 call. First of all, I want all hands on deck. Why the hell is my fullback stretched out wide, one-on-one, like you're throwing a football to Derek Coleman? I mean, come on. What are you doing? Like, again, you get too cute sometimes in these situations. I hate the rollout play. The Raiders execute that to perfection. If Julio doesn't slip, maybe he's able to come back. Matt Ryan able to deliver a clean football, and maybe he's able to make a tough catch, get both feet in, and it's a touchdown. I hate that play, though. I just don't like that play. I would have loved to have seen Julio just 2 receivers, trips set, Julio out wide. I'd love to see 2 outs and Julio running a slant and just try to beat him underneath like that. And that would have been my call. Or just split Julio out wide, 1-on-1, and throw the fade and say, Julio, go get it, make a play for me. But I didn't like the call. But look, hindsight is 2020. We can sit here and second guess that. Opportunities were in this game for the Falcons to make plays and separate themselves from the Eagles. The offense did what they've done for the latter portion of the season, which is settle for field goals, sputter out. They had opportunities early in this game, and they had to settle for field goals. The first possession where they were able to get the football deep in the Eagles' territory, they had to settle for a field goal. It's what they've done this season. And if you want to win on the road, you got to make big plays. Matt Ryan had a chance. Julio Jones behind the defense throws a moon ball just straight up in the sky. And again, I hate when quarterbacks throw the ball straight up in the air. I know you want to give your guy a chance to run under. It's 15-mile-an-hour wind gusts. That football's going to get killed. You've got to throw that on more of a line. He threw it up in the air, and I didn't get to follow through. He had a Eagles defender draped all over him, which really affected his follow through, which I'll cut him a little bit of slack. But Julio Jones played some amazing defense in this game. Had he not broken up a couple of passes, Matt Ryan would have had a couple of interceptions to his name in this game. But Julio Jones, he was outstanding. Tevin Coleman, I thought, was a man amongst boys out there running the football. I would have loved to have seen him get more touches in this game because he, on the outside and the perimeter of this Eagles defense, was just making some big plays. Devonta Freeman couldn't keep his feet. There were a number of plays. There was one play in particular, Matt Ryan rushed, throws it out to the flats. There's nobody out there but Devonta Freeman and one defender. He's juking and juking and juking, and he trips over the damn grass. He had a horrible game, if you ask me. Missed some opportunities, fell down a couple of times, didn't make anybody miss out in space. There were opportunities where I thought there were some big plays there in front of him. There was one play where Brandon Graham makes a hell of a tackle on a pitch where he cuts it back, reverse field style, and had Brandon Graham not clipped his ankle from behind. There were 3 Eagle defenders there, but I thought he could have beaten 2 of them. He would have had a problem with that final defender, which would have been Jalen Mills. I think Jalen Mills would have probably run him out of bounds after like a 9 or 10-yard game. But at that juncture of the game, 9, 10 yards would have been huge. In any event, I didn't think this was the best game for Freeman. But nonetheless, the Falcons simply didn't do enough offensively. They didn't do enough defensively. They didn't do enough. Special teams, much like last week, created some opportunities for you. All right, the defense created a couple of opportunities. Well, the Eagles created some opportunities for you to have the ball back when you shouldn't have. The Eagles had a ton of mistakes. You didn't take advantage in this game, and because of that, it came down to one throw at the end, and I didn't love the play call, but it wasn't completed, and you lose this game 15-10. You had ample opportunities. You have no one to blame for this loss but yourself, but credit the Eagles. They came out with a game plan. We're going to run against this team because we think we can establish a new line of scrimmage. We're going to run a bunch of RPOs. We're going to get Nicholas Foles some easy, safe throws, get him comfortable. And we're going to play some defense. We're going to take away everybody else but Julio Jones. We're going to make somebody else beat us. And nobody else did. Julio Jones was out there balling, and everybody else simply didn't make plays. There was really no Mohamed Sanu in this game. Taylor Gabriel came back. They couldn't get him the football. They tried on a receiver screen. Darby was all over that. Credit the Eagles, man. They came out with a game plan, and they won. They won the line of scrimmage, to me, on both sides of the football. They got pressure on Ryan. I thought the Falcons didn't get enough pressure on Foles, and they were able to run the football, whether it was Aguilar or it was Ajayi. Opportunities were there in the first half. The game was decided for me, or lack thereof, in the first half. Because if you're Atlanta, with all the mistakes the Eagles had, 4 fumbles, you recovered 2 of them, some big penalties that extended drives, the missed opportunity by Foles to Burton on a corner route, the ball thrown directly to Keanu Neal and he kicks it in the air. With all of these mistakes, you were afforded an opportunity to have a 13 or 16 or possibly 17-6 lead at halftime. And instead you were up 10-9 because you threw away golden opportunities to separate yourself from a very vulnerable and desperate Philadelphia Eagles team. And you gave them the confidence that they needed to win this game. They took it, ran with it in the second half. They didn't look back. And they preserved the victory with a huge 4th and goal stop, 15-10. Fly, Eagles, fly. You guys deserve this one. Hell of a win. These same 2 chips, they'll be back next week because I'm probably going to disrespect you again. Nope, I haven't learned my lesson. And everybody else is probably going to give you the underdog chip because you're probably going to be an underdog at home again with Nicholas Foles at quarterback. So there's the chips. You'll have to do it again, but this isn't about next week. This is about right now. Celebrate! You guys did the unthinkable. The unimaginable. You won at home in a game nobody gave you a chance to win. And now you're 1 game away from the goal you set before the season started. Getting to the Super Bowl in Minneapolis. Hell of a win. I didn't see it coming. Neither did anybody else. Wow. What a win. Sorry that this wasn't able to be live. I looked forward to talking to so many of you guys live, but my software is all jacked up. I don't even know if I'll be able to do one later. In any event, I'm your man, Louie T. Eagles with a massive win, 15-10 over the Atlanta Falcons to move on to the NFC Championship game where they'll host the winner of Saints-Vikes. Wow, what a win. What a game. Sloppy in the first half, very competitive throughout, however, and the Eagles made more plays than the Falcons when it was all said and done, and they come away with the 15-10 victory. I'll see you guys next time. What a win. More games to break down. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content in 2017 and beyond. Changing the Game wants you to help us do that by simply hitting that subscribe button and becoming a member of the Louie T Network. I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. More breakdowns to come. Don't you go anywhere. Hopefully, we'll be able to get this live feed back in gear. In any event, if I can't, we'll do it locally and post it. And I want to see those comments. I want to hear from you guys as if we were live. Leave it in the comment section. Like the video, subscribe, share it. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.